Thank you very much, Freddie. Now, over the last couple of months, of course, Occupy protests all over the country have been the center of police actions, legal matters, and debate about the First Amendment itself. With yesterday's ruling from the Budget Control Board, it sets up another day in court for the state and, of course, Occupy Columbia. Our legal correspondent, Todd Kincannon, is here, and you say it is not a First Amendment issue.
No, it's not a First Amendment issue anymore, Tyler. The situation is the court, when they ruled originally that the protesters could stay, the court said, well, you know, if a rule is adopted governing how the State House grounds are supposed to operate, well, that rule can be enforced. And the Budget and Control Board went and they made a rule. And so that rule now will apply. And I can't imagine that the federal court at this point won't lift the injunction and force the Occupy protesters to leave.
Is the actual occupation First Amendment right? Do people, I mean, and obviously the courts have, in your legal, like a humble legal opinion, but
sure.
Do I have a right to go pitch a tent and hold a sign up? Can I tomorrow night camp out in front of the State House?
You know, it depends on what rules are there, and it depends on how far somebody goes pushing the rules. And what happened here was the Occupy protesters actually went so far with this that they became a giant annoyance for everybody over at the State House. And the thing is, the first group to go so far as to create a problem, typically a rule gets adopted. So, yeah, did they have a right to go over there and stand around and hold signs? Absolutely they did. Do they have a right to do it for 67 days and pitch tents and basically move in? Well, they do until there's a rule that says they can't, and now there's a rule that says they can't.
Now, explain the difference for us, difference between a rule and a law. So, because this kind of circumvents the legal process, you don't have to go to Senate and the House, get the governor to sign it. This is actually just a rule, right?
Right. Well, this is government not as lawmaker, but government as property owner. The government owns that property.
But don't we own it?
Well, we do own it, but the Budget and Control Board, South Carolina Budget and Control Board, is the board that decides who gets to use that property. It's almost identical to a condominium board deciding when you can use the pool.
So even though it is you know, our taxpayer dollars that actually own it, because they're occupying it themselves, being the state, they get to make those rules as to who can and cannot stay.
Well, they don't get to make rules so much as to who can and can't stay. They get to make rules as to when people can come and do this.
Okay.
This rule would apply equally if the Tea Party wanted to go out and camp for 70-odd days. They can't do it now. Sure. I mean, this applies to anybody. It's not dependent upon the message. Now, people say, well, it's an attack on the Occupy movement. No, it's not. I've been by there. You know, those people seem to me to be a little bit off the wall. But I think the situation was they overstayed their welcome. It didn't have to do with their message. I think that the State House would have been just as bothered by Tea Partiers out there for 3 months as anybody else.
Okay, so just moving forward real quickly, Todd Kincannon, the rule is now in place. It's been approved 5-0. It's going to go back to a federal court. The judge is going to presumably accept it, in your opinion.
I think so.
Is that the end of the road, or is there other steps that Occupy is going to be able to take if they, because remember they got booted off before, 24 hours later they're back. What is the next step for them if the judge says that rule stands, pack your bags?
Well, they could go forward and try to appeal to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals in Richmond, Virginia. I don't think they got much chance of success there. They could try to go to the U.S. Supreme Court thereafter. I don't think they have any chance of success there.
All right, very good, Todd Kincannon. I appreciate all your thoughts and insight into this battle as it continues on, and of course, as well. Head on over to our Facebook page and sound off. A couple of questions up there for you this morning. How do you feel about the governor calling it an emergency regulation, and of course the board's decision to approve the motion? And what do you think the ruling should be when it goes back before a judge? Friendy, that is the latest from this hot debate, 67 days old and counting.
Definitely, Tyler. And we know this is not the end of it.
That's right.
All right, Tyler, thank you so much for that.